Hello and welcome back, boys and girls, to another review with me, Coffee Guy. Now today we're going to be looking at the Heavy Metal Heroes variant of the FV305. And I say variant there, I made the mistake when I first came across this tank of thinking, oh, it's just a Heavy Metal Heroes version of the Tier 6 FV304. It is not, it is a completely different tank, and we should look into that in a second. Now this review has been requested from one of my subscribers on YouTube, the Ash. So sorry it's taken a little while for me to get this done for you. I've been away on holiday recently and I've only just got back. And in that time when I've been away, there have been a lot of things going on in the game that I thought it's probably worth talking about before I get into that review. So first and foremost, there's been a huge range of things going on for the American Independence Day celebrations. There have been lots of ops there, lots of things that you can win through that, in terms of kind of premium time, emblems. I've worked my way through it. I must say, really pleased with Wargaming. I think it's really good for them to offer these kind of things for players. And this includes a loot chest, a heroes chest for free. Did I get anything in that? Anything worth having? Not really, just the base gold. But, you know, still nice to have. Do let me know if any of you viewers out there got anything better in your chests. Other things that have been going on at the moment include the trade-in event. Now, I'm quite a fan of these trade-in events. I think they've got better and better each iteration they've gone through in terms of the tanks they offer and the tanks that you can trade in for them. I know there's a lot of people out there with mixed kind of feelings about, well, you only get 50% of the value back and the best way to do it really is to try and buy the tanks you want at a 50% discount. But if you're like me and you've got a lot of premiums, a lot of them I've kind of earned for free on various ops. I've got one or two through loot chests that I've earned in the game. And so you do end up with some that you inevitably just don't really play that much, you don't really like. And for me, this tank was the glory. And this tank played like somebody had blended together the Scourge and the Fatherland, both of which I have, and come out with all of the drawbacks and none of the advantages, so it had to go. But this trading opportunity gave me the chance, for the princely sum of just 200 gold, to ditch the glory and get the T44-100. And I must say, I love this tank. It has less armour than the Motherland, which I also have but don't get on so well with, but you get much better gun handling. And it lets you do some incredible snapshots just like this. Now, I've had the successor to this tank, the T54 Motherland, for a while now, but I've just never quite got on with it. I think the Motherland comes with that heavier armour, but the trade-off for that is you get slightly worse gun handling stats. And so not only does Motherland seem to dirt me a lot, it also feels a lot more sluggish. Now, of course, this then left me with the Motherland sitting there, and I thought, well, I don't really like it so much. It's a bit redundant now that I've got the T44-100. What can I trade that in for? Well, surprise, surprise, with the Independence Day celebrations, 30% off all of the American premium Tech Tree tanks, I was able to pick up the T95 E2 for a princely sum of 37 extra gold. And I must say, this tank I'm really enjoying as well. I know it's not got a lot of love out there in the community, but I've had quite a lot of practice in the Chinese Pattern Legion tank, which I think is very similar. It's got the same turret and a very similar gun. And that kind of play style, where you know you don't have a lot of armour and you've got to hang back, but you rely on that fairly accurate, fairly fast gun, it just suits me. And I must say I'm really warming to the T95E2, and hopefully in weeks to come I can get you a review of that too. Now, of course, we're not here today to talk about the T44 or the T95E2. We're here to review the FV305 British Tier 8 Premium Artillery. So what is it? Well, it was an attempt after the war, 1947, to incorporate some of the British towed field artillery pieces into a single casement self-propelled chassis. And so there are two models, one meant to carry the 25-pounder and one that was meant to carry the BL 5.5 inch gun. Now, it says here that they were obsolete upon design and never taken forward. In history, this is true. They never went beyond the prototype. Although that field gun, the 5.5 inch that you get here, did go on to serve in its towed form with the British Army until, I believe, the 1980s. So I can't really figure out why these prototypes were never taken forward. Perhaps if any of you out there listening are history buffs and know the answer, you could let me know. It would be quite interesting. But certainly this artillery comes with a 57% silver bonus, a 10% XP bonus. And I thought a good place to start would be to compare this with its Tier 6 counterpart, the FV304. And now, as I was just saying, that was meant to have the 25 pounder. In the game, its top package gives you the 4.5 inch howitzer. Comes in with a 500 horsepower engine, giving it 24.21 power to weight ratio. It comes in with the 4.5 inch howitzer, giving you a rate of fire of 6.82 rounds a minute, and a maximum range of 1,050 metres. Terrain resistances are pretty good. This is quite a nippy thing. 700 metre signal range. Shell damage of between 338 and 563. And obviously no armour, 14 mils. And so the point of these tanks, they're quite different to other pieces of artillery in that instead of finding a spot at the back of the map to start with, you're meant to use that speed to keep just behind your front line to make use of that short gun range. So 1,050 metres is not good, and it gets worse when we get onto the FV305. So FV305 is the bigger brother. I couldn't work out whether the actual tank itself is a bit bigger, but certainly you get that slightly bigger gun, the 5.5 inch gun. Now in terms of the engine, it's still the same engine, giving you a similar power to weight ratio, although your top speed is about 4 kilometers an hour slower. In terms of your gun handling, you get a slightly reduced rate of fire of 4.48 rounds per minute, and also slightly worse accuracy, 0.71. But by far the biggest problem, the biggest drawback here, is that your range is only 701 metres. That's worse than its Tier 6 counterpart. Slightly worse terrain resistance as well, so it is a bit more sluggish. I don't really notice it that much. And only 50 more metres on the signal range, so not much difference there. But the damage on your shells goes up quite significantly, and you get the addition of premium shells here, which give you a buff to your penetration, and also your splash damage radius as well, which is quite useful because compared to other pieces of artillery, you've got a higher rate of fire. You can really be a nightmare just keeping people tracked because you're often reloaded by the time they have fixed their tracks. So it's a very different playstyle, and I found a lot of the points I get on the FV305, it's not through killing people, it's through assisting damage, tracking them. So finally, in terms of the armour, still 14. You don't want to get hit in this, you really don't want to get hit, especially not by things like high explosive, because they can often one-hit you at tier 8. But again, your speed can often help you to circumvent that, because you can relocate out of tricky situations a lot more easily in this than you could in any other artillery that I can think of. I really do like that fact. So that's enough talking about the garage stats. Let's now take a look at one of the battles that I've got ready for you here. So we're in Karelia. We're bottom tier, although since they've brought in their new matchmaking with only +1 either side, the highest I'm seeing here is tier 9. So completely missed that purging and decided to refocus on the Centurion here. And this is one of the other amazing things about this tank that I really like. The arc of the shells is seems a lot more curved, a lot steeper than on other artillery, so you can kind of loop them over low-lying cover like boulders a bit more easily than you can on other artillery, and it means that people aren't safe when they think they are. So I'm just waiting to see if he would pop out from behind that rock again. I have a feeling he probably would, because he seems like he's pretty target fixed. So I'm just waiting. There you go, fire one in anticipation, and there we go, track him. And straight away he's surrounded by my team, and all of this track damage starts coming in, and that's how you make your money on this tank, so make your experience. Because the shells on their own right don't do that much damage. And again, you can see I'm just trying to wait until I get a shot to loop that over the boulder at him, There we go. Finished him off, got one on the back of his engine deck. So I'm retargeting that purging now. Just waiting for the shell to zoom in. And the zoom in time is pretty quick on that. And there you go, got my second kill of the game too. And so when it works for this tank, when you're at the right range or in the right position, you can really rack up that damage pretty quickly. The slight problem I found with it is that sometimes you can either get left behind, or in an effort to keep yourself in range, you put yourself a little bit too close and you get one-hit by something. So moving down now to try and help on the bottom part of the map. I was wondering if I could finish off that Gornish there. He got behind cover. So I switched back to the Tiger 2 again. Trying to go back to my same old trick really, of just trying to track him in place and let my allies rack up the damage on him. But again, you can see the damage on the shells is pretty low, so unless you're able to hit their engine deck, which is what I'm trying to aim for here, you're not going to be chipping off a lot of health with each hit. I just thought he probably would still be there. And there we go. Yes, he was. But I'm not going to risk wasting another shot on him. I'll see if I can hit this tier 9 VK instead. But no luck. My aim's gone completely. Missed that one by miles. And can I get the next one on him? Missed that one too. So the gun is... I quite like it, but it's still by no means beyond being able to troll you. And somebody else gets him. So, right here you can see that range becomes an issue because there are plenty of enemies left on their team, but they're all now out of my range. They're down near their base, and that's too far away from me on Corellia. And keeping in mind that Corellia is not really that big of a map anyway. And so you can lose out on hits that you might have had in other artillery, just because you have to relocate in this tank. On the flip side, as I was saying, if the situation's changed the other way and your team's losing and you're in danger, that can also mean that you can get out of the way quite quickly in this tank because it has that speed. So it swings and roundabouts. Limited range, but lots of speed. So it's just quite a different playstyle, that's all. And so I thought I'd try and rush down, maybe I could get one or two more in on the defenders around their base. But not to be. We just run out and he's down. My team's got that last ISU 30. But I'm happy with that. That's a fair amount of damage and track damage. So I thought what would be good would be to show you what happens on the games that don't go in your team saver. So this game is Airfield. I think it's similar tier, in tier 9 game, and not particularly bad play from my team. I think they just split. Half went up to that C6 hilly area, and the other half tried to go down the bottom towards the H6 ridge line, and it turned out all of the enemy had come up near the top, and they just completely decimated our team. And I've not really been able to do much damage so far in this game, and I thought, right, I need to focus, I'm going to get a kill in at least. Managed to take down the C29, and this is one of the perks of this tank. Its ability to shotgun lights. Boom, he's gone. Unfortunately, I don't have the hit points to repeat the trick on the next one. So yeah, it is, as all artillery, it's very dependent on your team being fairly competent. So in summary, I'm Doubtless not playing this tank to the best of its ability. I'm not the greatest artillery player in the world. I've just given it my best shot for these reviews. But, in all honesty, I had fun. In fact, I even liked this Tier 8 Premium version better than I do the Tier 6 version. I'm not quite sure exactly why that is. On paper, the Tier 6 version is almost as good in every single regard, and it's certainly better in terms of fire range. But I think it's just the damage per minute that you get with this premium tank. And given that you don't have a lot of choice in the British artillery line for premium crew trainers, I'll say yeah, it is worth its weight in gold. So I hope that was an interesting review for you. Do hit subscribe, hit like, if that's the case. And I'll aim to get a review out sometime in the next couple of weeks. Not sure what that's going to be on at the moment, but do let me know in the comments below if you have any recommendations. So I hope you all enjoy the rest of your weekend. Coffee Guy out.